Hi, welcome to today's math lesson. Today we are going to be reviewing a term that hopefully you remember from this year, and that word is attributes. So we're going to be talking about this very special math word today. We're going to be using it to do our work. So an attribute is a way that we describe an object. And there are several attributes that we have looked at before when we are sorting objects or trying to classify objects. One of those is the color. So we have looked, is it red, is it yellow, orange, blue, purple, rainbow? But we'll just draw like a little crayon shape to help us remember. One of the attributes we can think about is color. Okay, another attribute we have looked at is shape. When we think about shape, we think about, is it a shape we know? Is it a circle or a square, maybe a triangle, or is it some other shape that we wouldn't have a word to describe yet? So we think about color sometimes as an attribute, we think about shape as an attribute, and then finally, a third attribute we've discussed is size. Size. Is it a little bitty triangle, a small triangle? Is it a medium-sized triangle? Or maybe perhaps it is a great big large triangle, okay? So we have talked about the color being an attribute of an object, the shape being an attribute, and the size. We're going to use those three attributes and maybe some more that you come up with today to sort a collection of objects. Now, for our math purposes, I have my handy dandy attribute blocks, and they look like this. If you have had the opportunity to see these, they are really super cool, but maybe you remember them from a previous video. We have circles in our attribute blocks. We have some triangles. We have squares and rectangles and even a hexagon. All right, so looking at my attribute blocks, I want to think about what do they have that makes them the same, or what makes them different, and how could I sort them? So let's look back at our poster that we just were making, our chart that we just made. One way I could sort my attribute blocks would be by color. So I could make a group of attribute blocks that are yellow, and then I could put another group that are red. So I have yellow blocks, red blocks. Can you think of another way that I could sort them? Did you remember shape? I think I heard you say shape. Yeah, so I could sort and I could put all of my triangles together. I could put my circles together. I could put a rectangle by itself, a square, and then I could put my hexagons together. Oop, my rectangle disappeared from our picture there. So I could sort them by the type of shape they are. Finally, I could also sort these same blocks by their size. I could say these are my large blocks and these are my medium-sized blocks. I don't really have any super tiny ones in my sets. Okay? Another thing you can think about as size is if you turn my blocks to the side, you'll notice how fat or skinny they are. We call that thickness. So I have some that are thick and some that are thin. These two happen to be the same color, yellow, the same shape, hexagon, but they are different because one is fat and one is thin. So I could also sort my shapes by my flat shapes and my thicker shapes. I could put all my thick shapes together and put all my flat shapes together. So there's lots of ways to think about it. Now, I know you probably don't have a set of attribute blocks at your house, but today your job is going to be to find a collection of something at your house and decide how you could sort that by attribute. So one of the things you could possibly find at your house, if anybody repairs clothes or sews at your home, maybe you have a collection of buttons. Can you ask someone at your house, do you have a collection of buttons? Your buttons you could sort. What are some of the ways we could sort them? Let's think about it again. Color. So I could put all of my green buttons together, all of my yellow buttons together, and all of my red buttons together. What was the second way I could sort them? By their shape. All right, so I have a lot of circle buttons, and then I have one odd man out. He's kind of a square more than a circle. So I have circle and square with my buttons. I could also sort by the shape that is in the middle. So I have 2 dots, 4 dots, 4 dots, 2 dots, 2 dots, 2 dots, 4 dots, and 4 dots. So I could look at the shape that is in the middle and how many there are of those, and I could sort my buttons that way. Finally, I could look at the size of my buttons. I have some very small buttons. I have some medium-sized buttons. And then I have some great big buttons over there. So small, medium, and large. All right, guys, guess what? Let me give you a few more ideas, because maybe you don't have anybody at your house that sews. Maybe you need some more ideas. Do you have these things at your house? Oh, how many of you have Legos? If so, go grab your Legos, because you need to sort them by attributes. I'm going to put my Lego collection out here. And let's think about those ways, those attributes. I could sort by color. Blue, yellow, red, green. This is actually a purple. It's hard to tell on my screen. And a brown. So I have lots of different colors in my Legos. Can you think of another way I could sort the Legos? I could sort them by shape. So some of them are squares, and some are rectangles. Okay, so squares and rectangles. Could I look at the shape of the dimensions of them? If you're an avid Lego builder, you might have directions that say find a 2 by 2 shape. So this one has 1, 2 at the top and 1, 2 at the side, making 1, 2, 3, 4 dots all together. So I could put all my 2 by 2s together. This is a 2 by 1. It has 2 going down and 1 going across. It's the only one I have like that. This guy is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 1. 6 going down, 1 across. The only one like that. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. An 8 by 1. Only one doing that. I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's a 2 by 8. And then finally I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 4 across, a 4 by 10 or a 10 by 4. So I could sort them by their configurations like you would as you build in your directions of your Lego kit. Finally, I could sort those Legos by size, little bitty, medium, and tall. So I have 3 different sizes of Legos as well. Small, medium, and tall. Or small, medium, and large. One last thing. Some of you are saying, I don't have any of those toys either at my house. Well, guess what you have? You have nature. So if you don't have any of those collections at your house, or any cool collection, car collection, dog collection, anything that has something alike that you collect, you could put together and look at their attributes. If you don't have any of those things, then you need to go outside and you need to collect some nature items. Can you tell what's the same about all of these things? Yeah, these are all rocks. So I have a rock collection. My rock collection can be sorted by color. So I have kind of this brownish color. I have a black. And then I have some grays. So brown, gray, and black. I could sort my rocks by color. I could sort them by shape. So I have some that are more ovally shaped. And then I have some that are more odd shapes. They're not a true shape. They're kind of spiky. I could also sort these by the texture that they have. And that's one we haven't talked about in our 3 attributes today. But texture would be an additional attribute you could use. On my rocks, if you could feel them, I have some that are smooth. So these are my smooth rocks. And then I have some that are bumpy. They have lots and lots of bumps on them. So I could do pointy or bumpy texture, and then I could do smooth as a texture as a way to sort. And then finally, I could also sort my rocks by size. I could do a collection of small rocks, a collection of medium rocks, and a collection of large rocks. I hope that you will use your creativity and your I Spy eyes today to find a collection that you can sort by attribute.